Brought to you by WikiVidi.com. Drew Scott. Drew Scott is a Canadian actor, realtor and entrepreneur, best known as the co-host on the TV series Property Brothers, the home renovation program, which is produced by Cineflix Media, features Drew as the realtor and Jonathan as the contractor. The success of the show has led to several spin-offs, including Buying and Selling Brother vs. Brother and Property Brothers at Home. Scott is also a co-founder of Scott Brothers Entertainment, which creates and produces TV shows, films and digital content. Additionally, the twins have launched the home furnishings brand Scott Living and its subsidiary Dream Homes. Scott participates in charity and philanthropic activities. He resides in Los Angeles, California, with his fiancée Linda Phan. Early life. Andrew Alfred Scott was born on April 28, 1978 in Vancouver, British Columbia, the youngest of brothers James Daniel and his identical twin brother Jonathan. His birth was a surprise to his parents, Jim and Joanne Scott, who had thought she was giving birth to a single child. James had emigrated from Scotland as a teenager, with dreams of being the kind of cowboy he had seen on television. He worked in the film industry as an actor, stuntman and assistant director until the late 1970s. It was around that time when he decided to focus on raising his family, and they moved to a horse farm in the nearby town of Maple Ridge. He worked as a youth counselor while Joanne continued her career as a paralegal in downtown Vancouver. On the twins' 7th birthday, their father encouraged them to get jobs, so they started their first business making nylon-covered hangers. According to them, they sold them from door to door until a woman who sold American paraphernalia in Japan ordered thousands. James would commonly renovate their properties and would pay the boys from as young as 8 years old to build and repair fences, decks and barns. Even as children, the twins would often rearrange the furniture in their family home. As teens, they attended Thomas Haney Secondary School, and Drew excelled in sports, both coaching and playing on the basketball and volleyball teams. After graduation, the family moved into their new home in Alberta just as the twins were leaving for Calgary to go to university. Early career. At a young age, Scott began acting in theater, improv and sketch comedy. As children, the twins trained as apprentice clowns, eventually performing at parties and events, and charging as much as $100 per hour. However, as Jonathan's interest in magic increased, Drew began to focus more on playing basketball. As a teen and young adult, he also pursued acting, which included roles on Smallville, Breaker High in Madison. The brothers enrolled in the University of Calgary, and longtime athlete Scott studied kinesiology. Despite their plans to become entertainers, the twins didn't want to be starving artists, and, after watching an infomercial by Carlton Sheets, they felt real estate investment would ease the financial purgatory of being out-of-work actors. After researching the topic, and during their first semester in college, they assumed the lease of a 7-bedroom rental property across the street from their university. They cleaned and repaired it, then sublet the remaining 5 rooms, clearing a profit of $800 a month. Taking advantage of a vendor take-back mortgage, they assumed the mortgage of the home. With a $250 down payment, made conservative renovations using the rental money, and sold the house a year later for a $50,000 profit. They continued to purchase and flip homes at wide profit margins for the next 15 years. Jonathan went to school for construction and design, eventually becoming licensed as a contractor, while his brothers made broader repairs. Drew's labor was mostly limited to installing siding and tile. At the same time, they supported themselves with various jobs including flight attendant, personal trainer, bikini store manager, busboy, website designer and mall cop, always planning careers in entertainment. However, the twins, along with their older brother, co-founded Davidian Production Group in 2002, an independent film production company, and Drew continued acting, directing, and producing on the side. Drew had long abandoned his aspirations to play professional basketball after a string of injuries, but in 2003, an Alberta college recruited him. Already 25 years old, however, and feeling like he was moving backwards, he left after a few weeks and rejoined Jonathan in the real estate business. Having had several negative experiences with realtors, Drew decided to enroll in a real estate program and got his license in 2004, shifting his focus to the real estate transactions. That same year, the twins founded Scott Real Estate Inc., a company designed to provide clients, in the words, a one-stop shop for services in buying, selling, renovating properties, as well as design consulting and staging open houses. Despite the success he was having as a realtor, Drew became increasingly dismayed that real estate was overtaking his true passion, acting. So in January 2006 he headed to Vancouver. Moving in with his best friend Pedro, he gave himself 1 year to pursue his dream in earnest. Meanwhile, Jonathan remained in Calgary to run the business. Transition to television. In Vancouver, Scott began taking acting and voice classes, networking with influential persons in the industry, and rising in the ranks on movie production crews. As the year drew to a close, however, he found himself $100,000 in debt, and not as far along as he had hoped. He took out a realtor's license in Vancouver, and opened a Scott Real Estate branch there. Jonathan had already moved to Las Vegas in 2008 with his wife, and he was purchasing and renovating homes to use as rentals. Having expanded to have offices in Vancouver, Calgary, and Las Vegas, Scott Real Estate had dozens of employees. Drew began pitching shows with real estate themes, but was mostly being offered hosting gigs. Eventually, Cineflix offered him a hosting job for a show called Realtor Idol, based on the American Idol format. The show never materialized, but the company's producers wanted Scott for a show tentatively called My Dream Home, with the intention of finding a female co-host. When they learned he had a brother who was also in real estate, they developed a show around the pair, and that company would later film the pilot for Property Brothers. The show was later picked up by HGTV. As of 2017, Property Brothers remains HGTV's highest-rated show. Scott joined his brothers in Las Vegas in 2010 and purchased a condo on the Strip, a highly concentrated urban area just south of Las Vegas. However, he and Jonathan purchased a joint home in 2011. Its renovation became the subject of the twins' fourth TV series, Property Brothers, at Home, and aired on HGTV in the United States as well as on the W Network in Canada. It became the highest-rated HGTV series premiere since 2009. After the success of Property Brothers at Home, Scott Brothers Entertainment went on to create another spin-off series called Property Brothers at Home on the Ranch, where the brothers went back to their old stomping grounds of Alberta, Canada, to accomplish a 10-week renovation for a family friend's Rocky Mountain estate. As part of the show, Drew and Jonathan wrote and recorded 2 country singles that premiered during the 3rd and 4th episode of the series. The singles Hold On and Let the Night Shining were released on various music platforms including iTunes, Amazon.com, and Google Play. Both songs were co-written by the brothers along with Nashville songwriters Victoria Shaw and Chad Carlson. Hold On hit number 38 on Billboard's Hot Country Songs chart and was accompanied by a music video that has more than 3 million Vivo views. The Scott brothers released a third song, My House, featuring Eric Paslay on January 12, 2017. Filmed at the brothers' Las Vegas home, the song's music video depicts a raucous house party and includes cameos by Carrot Top Raylan and Lindsay L. All proceeds from My House single sales will be donated to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Drew and his fiancée, Linda Phan, are currently filming a 5-episode chronicle of the 12-week remodel their home in Los Angeles. The show will be called Property Brothers at Home, Drew's honeymoon house, and aims to have all the renovations done in time for the couple's wedding rehearsal dinner. Jonathan will participate in the design and remodel. The program is set to premiere on November 22, 2017. Along with Nancy O'Dell, he and Jonathan co-hosted the 2014 Rose Parade, and co-hosted again in 2015 with Josh Temple. The twins appear as chef's table guests in the 16th season of Hell's Kitchen, where Drew sat with Melissa Rivers in the blue kitchen while Jonathan sat with Ashley Green in the red kitchen. They also design a house for the models on America's Next Top Model. On March 29, 2016, Drew and Jonathan were guest presenters at the Grand Ole Opry. Other projects. In 2010, Drew and Jonathan created Scott Brothers Entertainment, an independent production company. In 2013, they shifted the focus from film to creating original content for television and digital platforms. Their web series Toddler vs. Toddler was produced in 2013 and aired on HGTV and WNetwork.com. The short Makeover Manor was produced for Funny or Die, and also starred several reality stars famous in Improvement, Love It or List It. Stars David Visentin and Hilary Farr, Scott McGillivray, Ty Pennington, Brian Bayham, Candice Olsen, and Sandra Renaud-Mito, plus Jersey Shore stars Sammy G. Ankler and Ronnie Ortiz Magro. Scott Brothers Entertainment also produced seasons 3 and 4 of Brother vs. Brother, the series Half Price Paradise for HGTV and HGTV Canada, as well as Property Brothers at Home. Drew has written a docu-series based on current social topics that he is passionate about, including solar power. The show has a planned release of 2018. In 2013, Drew, Jonathan and JD hosted the radio show Off Topic with the Scott Brothers for Canada's Chorus Entertainment. Great American Country's End of the Year Top 50 Country Countdown reached out to the brothers to host the annual program on December 22, 2013. He has continued to pursue his passion of acting. Both he and his twin played themselves in the USA Network comedy Playing House in 2015. He and Jonathan appeared in the first 5 episodes of the web series Tiny House Arrest, which debuted on January 1, 2016 and was produced by their production company. Scott has also directed several episodes of Property Brothers and Buying and Selling, as well as the Scott Brothers Entertainment-produced web series Toddler vs. Toddler. In 2015, they hosted a Scott Brothers-themed cruise sailing with the Scotts. That year, Drew and Jonathan also launched their first outdoor furniture line, Scott Living, on QVC, and by the end of 2016 the line had crossed $100 million in revenue. Dream Homes provides high-end, customized architecture and home elements for homeowners with budgets in the millions of dollars. Every aspect can be customized and design ideas are provided by a team of designers based out of Las Vegas. In 2017, the twins brought all their brands under the umbrella of Scott Brothers Global. They also released their first book titled Dream Home, The Property Brothers' Ultimate Guide to Finding, for the New York Times, The Wall Street Journal and Amazon.com. Their second book, a memoir entitled It Takes Two, Our Story, was released in September 2017. In September 2017, Scott was announced as a contestant on season 25 of Dancing with the Stars. His partner is season 24 pro champion Emma Slater. Jonathan surprised the audience by joining Drew's jive performance mid-routine on the October 9, 2017 episode. Public image. They are known for their goofy senses of humor and for how much they poke fun at each other often. During public appearances, they honed these skills during their time in improv and sketch comedy. Unlike Jonathan, who dresses casually for his contract work, real estate agent Drew is known for wearing suits. Both twins stand over 6 foot tall. Both brothers have enjoyed a largely female fan base, having begun on the W Network, a channel for women's programming. They have also become sex symbols for HGTV. The network has said, "We know that twin brothers and HGTV fan favorites Drew and Jonathan Scott are good-looking, talented and ever so popular with the ladies." Kathleen Finch, the president of HGTV, has called the twins the cable equivalent of box office movie stars. After the debut of Brother vs. Brother, Glamour magazine wrote, "Yes, we've all always harbored massive crushes on the twins. But let's just say they are taking their sex appeal to all new levels: ripped shirts, greased muscles, water-sprayed levels of hotness." They garnered the second largest crowd ever at Mall of America, second only to the British boy band One Direction. ET Canada included them on its Hottest Bachelor list in 2011. The twins made People's 50 Most Beautiful People issue in both 2013 and 2014. The magazine's Sexiest Man Alive issue both years, and the magazine's list of Men of the Year in 2014. BuzzFeed included them on their 2015 list of HGTV's 15 all-time hottest hotties. Scott loves social media and has sizable followings on various social media platforms, including Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Periscope, where he universally uses the handle Mr. Drew Scott. Mashable even called him a master at social media. With his brothers, he would also create videos on the now-defunct platform Vine. The two worked with famous Viners, including Vincent Marcus Mann and Matthews, Sarah Hopkins, Brittlestar Neat Dude, and Gregor Reynolds. People magazine named a post of him and Jonathan doing pull-ups the Vine of the day. Personal life. Scott met his fiancée Linda Phan at a Toronto Fashion Week event in 2010. And became engaged on December 13, 2016. They are currently planning a European destination wedding set for the spring of 2018. The ceremony will incorporate elements of their respective Scottish and Chinese heritages. They have also expressed their desire to have children. Scott has said that he and Phan are workaholics and that getting out of the home office is step one for a great date. Beginning in 2014, they lived together in the Las Vegas home that Scott still owns with his twin. The couple was rarely there, however, as Phan travels, with Scott as creative director of Scott Brothers Entertainment, overseeing their digital content, product and merchandise lines and marketing campaigns. In 2013, he estimated they were only home about twice a year. In October 2017, they moved to Los Angeles, California. While not an American citizen, Scott tends to have Democratic views. He endorsed Hillary Clinton on his Twitter account in September 2016. He also considers life coach Tony Robbins a personal hero and has used Robbins' idea of incantations, a technique of verbal actualization, to reach his goals. Along with his brothers, Scott grew up playing basketball, but in a GQ interview, explained that he was the more enthusiastic one, sometimes practicing 4 or 5 hours a day. He played in both high school and college and reportedly had a 43-inch vertical jump. He made his college basketball team but got injured before the first season, and never played in a game. Scott has played in various celebrity sport charity games, including Josh Hutcherson's Nike 3-on-3 basketball at LA Live Staples Center. He has twice played in the NBA All-Star Celebrity Game, and in the 2012 game he took home a trophy for the Shooting Stars Celebrity Challenge. Scott leads a healthy lifestyle, monitoring his diet and regularly exercising. He has a black belt in karate. He is a fan of the show The Walking Dead, and was invited to an episode of the after-show Talking Dead to give his insights on the show and zombie property values. Philanthropy. Scott is active in various philanthropic projects, from working with children's hospitals to coordinating initiatives to help underprivileged youth. He has collaborated with a network of artists involved in Paul Hager's Artists for Peace and Justice, a non-profit organization that supports communities globally through programs in peace and social justice, with recent efforts focused on building schools, providing clean water, and medical treatment in Haiti. He also serves as a global ambassador for World Vision and, in April 2013, traveled to New Delhi, India with his brothers on a campaign to bring awareness to concerns regarding child labor and trafficking. With his brother Jonathan, he worked with Michelle Obama's initiative Let's Read, Let's Move, educating and encouraging students to live healthy and active lifestyles. As part of the Let's Move project, the brothers also hosted an event for kids at the National Building Museum in Washington, D.C., with U.S. Secretary of Education Ann Duncan. The event saw hundreds of students participate in activities led by the brothers and Duncan, helping the kids get active and excited about reading through storytelling and hands-on games that taught them about building environmentally friendly homes. They partnered with Target for a school library makeover, which seeks to remodel school libraries to ignite a love of reading and help put more children on the path to graduation. They also support pediatric cancer research through St. Baldrick's Foundation. Brought to you by WikiVidi.com. Would you like to know more?